welcome everyone. We're so excited to have all of you here today. We have a full house here in California, and we have a full house actually live streaming. We're thrilled to have so many people who are interested in our conversation today. I'm Chris Benninger. I'm the CEO at Guide Dogs for the Blind. This is Thea. She is the best ambassador dog ever and the love of my life. And we are going to be following the journey of one of our broods today through her journey through the puppy center. What's so exciting about this is that, as most of you know, for biosecurity reasons, very few people ever get to go into the puppy center. So very few people get to actually witness what happens to our broods and their pups while they're here with us on campus. So we're going to show you that today. And we have two amazing experts that are going to be joining us. We have Lauren Holtz, who is our breeding manager, and we have Kathleen Fisher, who is our supervisor, one of our supervisors in our puppy center. And we're gonna start with a little bit of sort of fun information. So Lauren, what Lauren does is very rare. There's only a very small handful of people who do what Lauren does on a daily basis. So Lauren, what drew you to this profession?
Oh gosh. Well, I was a puppy raiser. So I fell into this profession by way of being a volunteer, and I loved it so much and the purpose behind our dogs that I decided to make a career out of it. One of the things that I love about being the breeding manager is I get to follow all of our puppies from birth all the way through until they're serving one of our clients. And then for some of our puppies who we select for the breeding program, it starts all over again and we get to dream up that next generation. So I love being the breeding manager because I get to look into the future and also use science to learn about our past.
Which is great, thank you. And Kathleen, how long have you been with Guide Dogs?
I have been with Guide Dogs 26 years.
And how many puppies have you helped bring into this world?
I was recently told 20,000
Whoa!
puppies and around 3,000 litters in that time.
Yay. So when I say you have the experts here, I can barely spell breeding, but you've got the experts here who can definitely, walk us through this. And just so you know, there's going to be a question and answer period at the end. For those of you in our studio audience, if you just raise your hand, somebody will come around with a mic. And for those of you in our live stream audience, if you if you type your question into the chat, we will read your question and answer it. All right. So Lauren, let's start with you. Could you just give us an overview of, our breeding program?
Sure. So here at Guide Dogs, we breed Labradors, Goldens, and Lab Golden crosses. These are dogs that have been selected because of their superior health and temperament to join our breeding program and to help us usher in that next generation. So everything that we do in the breeding program day to day is going to have its effects 2 years from now from the perspective of the clients that we're serving, right? Because it takes about 2 years to grow up all of our puppies into guide dogs. Some of those dogs obviously go into our training program or our canine buddy program, and some of those dogs, as I mentioned, get selected to join in and continue the legacy that their parents passed on to them, and those are our breeding dogs that help us usher in that next generation. We have about 200 breeder custodian volunteers that live within a 50-mile radius here, or to our campus here in San Rafael. We are so dedicated to them, and I'm so happy today to be looking out and seeing some of your faces in the audience, so thank you for being here. I can also see some of our breeders in the audience, so that's always nice. I refer to them as my colleagues. I come to work, and sometimes I get to see our breeders as well, depending on if they're here for their reproductive purposes. So our breeding program dates back generation after generation after generation. It goes back to the 60s. And again, it's a purpose-bred breeding program. So we are selecting the traits that we know make a successful guide dog and pulling those traits into our program, again, to produce that for our clients.
Thank you. So can you start us off with just telling us what happens when one of our broods, and you can explain what a brood is, checks into our puppy center?
Yeah, sure. Chris is saying, our broods. We were joking that we might need to define some terms because there's some terminology that we use here at GDB and the Canine Welfare Neonatal team and the breeding team that we use very commonly. It's just our language, but out in the real world, some of these terms may not mean the same thing. So a brood is a female who's intact, a breeding female, who usually has a litter that she's caring for. But we will refer to our females in the breeding program as brood females or broods. So you'll hear us say that today. So when I mentioned all of our breeders are in homes, in our volunteer homes. They are bred here on campus, but when they come back to whelp their litter or to deliver their litter, so that's another term for you, whelp. So to whelp is the verb to give birth. So canines whelp puppies. You'll also hear us refer to whelping, the act of labor of our puppies. So they check in to whelp their litters into our puppy center, and they arrive 5 days before their due date. So they can be comfortable with that space. Many of our females are having maybe a second or a third litter, so they're already familiar with the space, but they may need to get reacquainted. So they check in at that time 5 days before their due date.
Sounds great. And I think, Kathleen, we have a video about Ms. Wyoming checking in, and maybe you can walk us through that.
Absolutely. What you'll see is when Wyoming arrives, and if you want to run the video, I can just sort of narrate through it. This is Wyoming and her breeder custodian, Eric. And again, this is 5 days before Wyoming's due date. We're just getting information on what she's eating, how she's been in the last few weeks. We get a weight, a pre-whelp weight on her, and to comply with our strict biosecurity guidelines, she gets a full bath. And then she gets escorted to her new accommodations. Each mom gets a suite. It has sort of two sides that she has access to. One has a nice soft bed for her, and then the other holds the pool in which she'll deliver her puppies. They get sort of a little spa treatment and get her nails done. And the vet comes in and does sort of a physical with her, just checking her out, making sure all is okay. And then we have volunteers that come in that do some light exercise with our moms before they have their litter, just to keep them physically and mentally active. Keep her muscles toned. Anything for a treat. And then always some extra TLC.
So I realized I should have given some stats about our mama.
Oh, yeah.
So Wyoming is a first-time mom, so she's actually seeing, in those videos, she's seeing that space for the first time, just like you guys. So she's what we call a maiden female, so she's new to this. This is her first litter. You'll see it throughout. She has that striking eyes, and I kind of think of Wyoming as this very stoic, steadfast individual. She's has an air about herself, like she knows what she's doing, which is a really nice quality in her. And then our stud dog, that's the other half of making this litter possible, is Mr. Kimmel. He is also a yellow lab. He's 3 years old, and I should say Wyoming is 2 years old. And he's actually had, as of last week, he's now had 10 litters for us. So our studs oftentimes can have more litters than our females, so that's not abnormal. And maybe where Wyoming is this kind of steadfast, stoic individual, Kimmel tends to be a more gregarious type of dog, but he's, where he's robust, he's also confident, and we really like that quality in our guide dogs as well. So that is mom and dad for this litter. And on the screen is our pregnancy announcement announcing this litter, and you'll see that they were actually born earlier this year in February. And in the center of the screen is a photo from the ultrasound that confirmed Wyoming pregnant, so that in the center of the screen you can see a kind of a big black space. That's the puppy's placenta, and in the center where you see white, that's our little puppy. That's our little guide dog, hopeful to be. So that again, we have ultrasounded them, so we know she was pregnant, but prior to her returning to campus.
I love these pregnancy announcements.
Yeah.
So these pregnancy announcements go out to our breeder custodians, who are the custodian of the mom and the dad.
Yeah.
Isn't that fun? Yeah.
And recently we've also been rolling them out to the puppy raisers of mom and dad as well, right? So there was a family that raised both Wyoming and Kimmel, and they like to keep up with what Wyoming and Kimmel are up to in their career. So we send out those announcements to both.
So Lauren, you talked about our broods coming into the puppy center 5 days before they're ready to whelp. Mm-hmm. How do we pinpoint that? How do you know that that's 5 days?
Yeah. So you have to look to the past. So when one of our females comes into season, she is indicating that she is available to be bred. We do something called ovulation timing. So we want to pinpoint as best we can using the resources that we have here on campus, my team along with our veterinary team, to really pinpoint the moment that Wyoming ovulates. So we know the best time for Kimmel and Wyoming to have a date, and so that we can count forward 63 to 64 days. So in the canine, gestation is 63 to 64 days from the time of ovulation. We're getting nerdy already.
Oh, good.
And so at that time, we can pinpoint that date in the future to know that that's when she's going to deliver. The gestation on canines is incredibly short when you think, relatively it's incredibly fast. But it really, textbook, it really does fall in that window. And it's thanks to, the resources we have here on campus. We have the ability to really, nail down that time point, because it's very much backed by science in terms of that date range. So then we tell Kathleen and her team, hey, Wyoming's going to be due this date, and then we count 5 days from that and tell Eric and Aaron, bring her on down to campus at that point, and we usually are pretty spot on. Which is good because you guys like to have a little bit of a heads up.
We like to have a heads up, and it gives mom time to, again, come into the puppy center, get familiar with her quarters, and gives her time the nesting process, which you'll see in the next video.
Yeah.
And I'll just say, and of course our moms always give birth between 8 and 5?
Absolutely, Chris. Which is, we have, our department has a 24/7 staff because that is never true. Not never, but we never know. And sometimes moms can gear up for hours and even days. And sometimes without any warning, there's a puppy under her tail, and it's like, oh, she started. So yes, we have 24/7 staff that is always in that portion of the puppy center to monitor and be there for moms and puppies throughout.
And maybe just a little bit about Miss Wyoming. What time did she start her labor and what time did she finish?
So on February 27th, in the wee hours of the morning, about 2:30, she started what we call gearing up. And her first puppy came at 3:10 that morning. In the next 9 hours, just a little afternoon, she had puppy number 6. So we like to see an average is a puppy an hour. Sometimes it's much quicker than that. And if it goes past an hour, we start doing some sort of non-invasive things, getting mom up and walking, and just to help continue her contractions and keep her going.
I would say in this next video, I will just kind of warn everyone, she's super, I would say she's a kind of more of a stealth laborer. And I'm glad we got the video because to the layperson, I don't necessarily know if it's overt, that first puppy, that she's contracting, but Kathleen will point it out. She just sort of quietly bears down, and that was our first contraction and indication that puppies really were on the way.
Right.
So let's roll that
let's
second
roll
video.
the second video.
Yeah, we're all anxious to see.
So each suite is equipped with a camera so that we can keep eyes on mom without standing in front of the stall. Here she's doing some just normal nesting behavior, the shredding of the paper and the digging. This is what Lauren was talking about. She kind of, you see her take a breath and then she kind of bears down,
Oh, sweet.
pushing. And here comes puppy number 1. Staff is there to help ease the pup and the placenta out. The sac is broken. And we present the puppy to mom. This is her very first puppy ever, so she's not quite sure. Some vigorous rubbing. We clear the airways with a bulb syringe. Each pup gets their identifying shave mark so that we can keep track of who's who. And that little cry is music to our ears. Kelsey brings the puppy back to mom, and as you can see, she's kind of a little tentative, which is not unusual. She's just like, what is this? Those cameras allow us to monitor from various places in the center. And here she is working on another puppy.
Good job.
She's working on cleaning herself up, and Kelsey's doing getting the puppy. It's amazing that within the first few minutes, these puppies know what to do when you put a teat in front of them. Throughout the whelp, we'll get mom up, out and walking, kind of helps keep the contractions going, get her some exercise. And you can see she's becoming more comfortable and warming up to her puppies. That sound never gets old.
Makes you a little teary-eyed, doesn't it? Yeah, getting a little teary-eyed. One of the things that I'm very proud about is our overall philosophy with regards to our puppies and actually having a puppy center that's staffed 24/7 on campus. Many guide dog and service dog organizations don't do that. They actually have, and there's nothing wrong, but they choose to have their pups whelped in volunteer homes. And we've chosen a different philosophy, which is really we want to make certain that every single puppy has the best chance ever at life and being successful in doing the job that they're bred for. And so you saw everything that is being done here by staff, the monitoring, and particularly with Miss Wyoming, first-time mom, she wasn't quite certain what to do. She needed a little bit of help in, determining what the next steps are and even what that is that just happened. So I just point that out because I think that this is something that distinguishes guide dogs for the blind from other types of organizations from that standpoint. So. On that note, maybe we can go to the next video.
Go to the next
because
video.
I think that talks a little bit more about some of the things that take place to support mom and, her puppies through these next stages.
Absolutely. So here she's relaxing in a trough that allows us to use an ultrasound to see if she has any puppies remaining. And if there are, we can also check the heart rates on that puppy. And then each mom gets x-rayed to confirm that she's empty. And here you can see, you can't see any puppies because she is empty. The white in the x-ray is her bones. You can see her spine and her rib cage and her hind legs. And then in the middle is her intestines. If there were a puppy there, you would see sort of a clear skeleton of a small puppy within that belly. We get her cleaned up. Look at those eyes.
Yeah, beautiful.
The puppies get sort of their first physical. We just check them over from nose to tail, make sure they've got 5 fingers and 4 toes, and that everything's where it should be, and they get weighed as well. We'll keep track of their weights in that first week to make sure that they're gaining appropriately. And then the puppies get brought back to their pool, which is outfitted with a pool cover. The base of that cover is a fleece-like material that has antimicrobial and moisture-wicking properties to help keep the area clean.
Nice and comfy.
We have some warming discs in there to just, within that first 24 hours, make sure everybody stays nice and cozy. And mom takes a rest too after a busy 9 hours.
So one of the things, I'm proud about a lot of things, but I'm also proud about that fleece-like material that you see in the pool with the pups. That's very intentional. We actually did a study a few years ago of looking at 5,600 puppies. And what that study showed is that the likelihood of hip dysplasia was significantly reduced by puppies being raised on that Sterilon material versus newspaper. And the reason for that is because the Sterilon, or that fleece-like material, they can actually get a grip and they can start to develop their muscles early, right? Newspaper is slippery, right? So that again is something unique to Guide Dogs for the Blind, and as Lauren would say, is really all based on science and for the overall health and welfare of our pups in the long term. So pretty exciting to see. So Miss Wyoming had 6 pups. Is that average? Is that large? Is that small? I mean,
she
right.
hit the mark right in the center. So on average, our females have 6 to 7 puppies in their litters. Some of our moms have bigger litters, some of them have smaller litters, and we do usually see that on average our female Goldens tend to have bigger litters than our Labradors. But like I said, our average is that 6 to 7, so she hit the nail on the head. She helped that average stay the average. There are 4 females in this litter and 2 males. Yeah, so she's right in the middle. That's where we want her to be.
And if we have a female that maybe has 2 pups, do we keep her in the breeding colony or not? Or
yeah, we know that a smaller litter, we need to take extra precautions associated with a small litter, just because for that whelping to occur, those puppies need to send out a signal that they are ready to be delivered, and so that signal is given out from their body into mom's body. Our females' bodies pick up on that hormone that's released by the puppies, and then that hormone is what causes the cascade of events that helps induce labor. And so we know that a smaller litter has a higher risk of those puppies basically not being loud enough because there's only 2 of them or there's only 3 of them compared to mom's whole body, whereas a group of 6 can more loudly, as a crowd, say, "We're ready," right? So we know that is a higher risk. But oftentimes when we allow our moms to do it naturally, they do. They are able to produce their puppies on their own. And our canine welfare neonatal team is trained, and they're so good at doing all those non-invasive procedures. We couldn't get it out quick enough because the video happened so fast. But in that video where Wyoming's laboring, you can see Kelsey moving her hands down Wyoming's spine. That's a way for us to continue to kind of encourage Wyoming to continue to labor. So on those smaller litters, we can do that. So there are things that our team can do to help the labor to continue to progress. So oftentimes, if we do have a smaller litter, we'll obviously review the quality of the labor after she's whelped. We have a group that works with me. We are so incredibly lucky to have Dr. Gonzalez, our own theriogenologist. Theriogenology is the arm of veterinary medicine that oversees basically obstetrics, neonatology, reproduction, and we are so lucky to have a theriogenologist here on staff. She's one of our staff veterinarians. So, members of the CW, the Canine Welfare Neonatal team, the breeding team, and our veterinary team review the whelp, and oftentimes we can make that decision that it is okay to continue to breed that female, even though she's had maybe a history of a smaller litter. And sometimes we see that the next litter is more average sized. It really depends, but not always is it a reason that we wouldn't breed a female again. With that said, there might be certain times where we do make that decision because it is a smaller litter, and we know that there's just a greater risk of it being a more complex whelp, but not always, again, because we can make new plans for that next time around, and oftentimes we see a positive outcome.
Thank you. So there's a lot that goes into this. So Kathleen, can we continue with Wyoming's journey?
Absolutely. We start the next video. Brand new puppy stretching its legs. Here mom is tending to her puppies, keeping them clean. These guys are about a week old. Their eyes and their ears are still closed. Within those first few days post-whelp, volunteers will go into their stall for their socializing time to just sit with them. Moms tend not to want to leave their puppies, so we do it in the stall. After that first 5 days or so, moms get one-on-one time outside of the stall with various activities to keep her physically and mentally sound and occupied. And here she was taking a nap outside the pool. We also have volunteers come in and do handling with the puppies. You can see here the eyes are starting to open between 10 and 14 days. And the handling, just getting them used to their ears and their muzzles and their mouths being touched, their tails, their nails, preparing them for those things that they'll have down the line, like nail trims. This brush is helping to desensitize their sort of their torso, their body, which will one day be wearing a vest and hopefully one day a harness. Exercise day helps keep mom's core strong and engaged. And as the puppies get bigger, there's less room for mom, so she's in her adjacent room taking a little rest.
Oh, she's having a drink and a smoke.
Yeah. And at 3 weeks of age, they leave the pool and get placed on the floor, our heated floors in our new puppy center. They get introduced to new textures, new toys, new sort of obstacles. And then to the left of the screen, you see the blue tiles. That is actually what we use to start the potty training at 3 weeks of age. It gives them a different texture, a different surface that they, the goal is that they target it. They're 60, 70% successful, which is great. And then you'll also see sort of on that back left side, those two little pipes kind of sticking out. Those are what we call licksits, and that's the water source for both mom and puppies. The taller one being for mom. Our breeder custodians actually get sent home with a similar device that attaches to their hose so that moms, so they can get used to getting their water that way instead of just out of a bowl. This keeps the water cleaner. And as puppies age, those, if there were a water pan down, it becomes more of a swimming pool than a water source. Each puppy actually gets handled like this twice a day. We handle them.
You're tired from sleeping? No, you gotta use all your energy to grow.
Mom continues to tend to them and keep them clean. And also has the ability to
I'm
take
done.
some time for herself. A little spa day with one of our volunteers, again, just to get some one-on-one time for herself. This is what we call the real life room. These were designed, it's a new space for puppies to explore. The first few times they go in with Mom, kind of building confidence, being exposed again to new spaces, new surfaces, and also getting used to humans, interacting with them. At 4 weeks of age, they get introduced to mush. We let the kibble soak for about an hour. And they still have access to Mom. Their little tails wagging back and forth. Happy tail. Some more one-on-one time with our volunteer. Playing with toys. And as the puppies get older, Mom doesn't need to lay down for them to access the milk source. At 4.5 weeks, we start introducing a softened kibble along with the mush. No sense of personal space. We also have outdoor play yards that we take them to, again, the first few times with Mom. Used to the outside air, more structures and surfaces for them to interact with. And they also start taking food from a volunteer's hand for the first time, which they will get throughout their life. Here we're playing some fireworks. We have various soundtracks that we play. As you can see, they're not bothered by those sounds, but we have, there's vacuum cleaners and airplanes and sirens and telephones ringing, babies crying, just to introduce them to a whole soundtrack of what they might encounter in their puppy raising homes.
So, one of the things that you're seeing throughout all of these videos is the intentionality of everything that we do. And everything is really focused not only on the physical well-being of our moms and their pups, but also the psychological well-being. And really creating this foundation for them for their next journeys, right? Their next journeys into puppyhood, and hopefully that journey into being a guide dog. So Lauren, maybe you can talk just a little bit more and expand on that intentionality about what we do and why we do it and why it's so important for that foundation.
Sure. Yeah. I'm so excited that we get to share these videos with all of you, because there's this group on campus, right, our Canine Welfare Neonatal Team, that, as we mentioned, they are in the puppy center, so most people don't get to see this, but they are doing this work every day, and not just with Wyoming and Kimmel's litter, but other litters as well. You have to imagine, multiple times over that this is happening right now, right? And that team, every single touch point really is thought out. There's a why behind every piece of what you, Kathleen, and your team do, and it really is incredible. I always like to say that we start with good genetics, but that is only the start, and you have to bring out the best in those genetics. And exactly like you said, that starts now. The time to, to start those synapses, to awaken their minds, to show them the world starts at the very beginning. But you need to do it in a meaningful way, and so it has to be done, at certain milestones, right? We don't want to show them outside if their eyes are closed. That wouldn't really be very meaningful or thoughtful. But as their eyes open, we can start to show them, things that developmentally they can handle. And same with Mom, right? She is doing her job right now, and so the snuffle mats that she gets to sniff and use her body in a natural way to help. You talked to Kathleen about the core. Building back her core muscles that have been used to help deliver those puppies. It's all with the purpose of making sure that our dogs are well cared for and that their well-being is at the top of our minds. Again, at every single touch point. So we start with good genetics, but then we have a whole team that's going to bring out the best in those genetics. I'm just so proud of the team and that we get to show that today.
And not only our team consists of about 30 staff members, but we have hundreds of volunteers that come in and help us care for the moms, to socialize them along with the puppies. So it truly takes a village.
Yeah. And you guys are always tweaking that curriculum as well, right? As new science becomes available to us, or science that we're utilizing, through our canine research and development department here at Guide Dogs. As we learn more, we get better at what we do, and I think that hopefully, that improves on for all of our dogs, regardless of what career they get to go off to. We're trying to, again, bring out the best in them. I love that video of the fireworks going off, because one of the things that's difficult, I feel, in the puppy center is because we are trying to create a biosecure space, because we know that these developing bodies also are, more susceptible potentially to infection. So we create this bubble to help foster their health and well-being in that way. But we have to almost close off the world to them in order to keep them safe. And so the thought process is, well, if you can't take them out into the world just yet, let's bring the world in for them. So we're going to bring in fake fireworks, and we're going to, offer them the opportunity to, frolic in the real life room, because, they aren't in somebody's living room right now, but one day they will be. They aren't, crossing streets right now, thank goodness, but we want to expose them to the sounds of what that might look like, or moving objects. These are all these kind of early exposures in the hopes of, there's a through line to their final career, and then also just being a well-rounded, well-adjusted dog in our world.
Thank you. I love listening to all of this. So Kathleen, talk about the magnitude of your operation, right? So at any one point in time, how many puppies, how many litters?
Anywhere between 10 and 14 litters a month. So we constantly have moms and new litters being produced in the puppy center, and then, after 5.5 weeks, the moms are weaned, but there's a constant flow. So what you're seeing with Wyoming is happening with 10 to 14 other litters at varying stages, from birth to 6 weeks in the whelping neonatal side. So all of that, the socializing with the moms, the making sure that puppies gain the proper weight. I said in the first week, those puppies, in the first couple days, they get weighed twice a day to make sure that they're gaining the proper amount, 5 to 10% of their body weight. And then the remaining days, we weigh at least once a day for the remainder of that first week. If a puppy is underweight, they get extra attention, and we're putting them on a teat and helping them to develop and get where we want them to be. like Chris said, the physical and psychological health and well-being of our moms, getting them out, those one-on-one sessions with volunteers. There's toy day. She's a dog. They still like to play. The exercise day to help redevelop her core muscles, and nose day helps. They use their nose and their brains in sniffing out kibble, and there's various other sort of games that, or puzzle toys that they play with. And then the spa day, everybody loves the spa day where they just get TLC and they get brushed, and yeah, it's a pretty amazing operation. I'm so proud to be part of it.
And so at any one point in time, there's probably 70 to 90 puppies
Yes.
that you're caring for, which is a lot.
Yes.
And I point that out because what I said earlier, there are very, 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 very few organizations that are whelping this many dogs, less than 5 on a worldwide basis. So the work is quite unique. And also, you know, to take a bigger look back, you know, over this next year, we will whelp about 750 puppies will come through that puppy center. Another interesting statistic is, you know, when you look at what it costs for each puppy, from starting with breeding, all the work that Lorna and her team do before these puppies even, you know, are born, everything that takes place on the neonatal side, and then the second side of our puppy center is, you know, the Young Heroes Academy, where our puppies now without mom continue their socialization journey. By the time they graduate from the puppy center at 8 to 9 weeks of age, we've already invested $11,000 in each puppy. And when you add all of that up, over 750 puppies, that's $8.3 million. And Guide Dogs for the Blind, given the importance of our mission and the importance of what our dogs do, we believe that that is worth it. It's absolutely worth it. And one other bragging point is that our dogs are known on a worldwide basis as the best in the industry. So again, I'm proud, but all of that really, you know, supports our mission and allows us, you know, to do what we do in serving our clients.
Yeah.
So, well, we finish up Wyoming's journey and see where she goes next.
Yes. So moms are fully weaned and taken away from their puppies at 5.5 weeks. Here she's being escorted to our boarding facility where she gets her own room and enjoys a frozen Kong upon arriving. Puppies continue being introduced to new things. Here they're being introduced to the bathing tub and getting their paws wet while enjoying a lick mat. They continue exploring the outside play yard with our volunteers, the various structures, gaining confidence.
I love that.
Traversing various structures. At 6 weeks old, they will get a full body bath, again in keeping with our biosecurity, before they enter the puppy pod side of the puppy center. and then they get handed over the door and go for their first official physical with the vet. They get a full nose to tail check. This is when they receive their 6-week vaccines. They also get their microchip at this time. They get their ears and their eyes examined. And we have cuddlers come in to help them transition to their new space in the puppy pod. This is first big transition, so we have people come in and sit with them to soften that experience. Our puppies get out for group play once a day with staff members. Mom, while she's in the boarding kennel, we'll get out for a walk twice a day with volunteers. And the reason we keep her in the boarding kennel is we're monitoring her while her teats dry up. We want to make sure that nothing occurs. And here she's reunited with Eric and Aaron. Happy to be going home.
So I just want to give a big shout out to our breeder custodians because we do ask a lot of you. You saw that lovely reunion of Wyoming coming back, but Wyoming had been gone 6 to 7 weeks, and you know, with any loved family member, that's hard. That's hard to do. So we really appreciate you. Thank you for doing what you do. Another note, many organizations have their breeding stock live on campus for 2, 3, 4 years. While they're part of the breeding program, we have a different model, which is that, you know, we depend on our wonderful volunteer breeder custodians to, you know, welcome our breeders into their home, be loved family members, and honestly, we believe that that's much better for our moms and our dads. They live just, you know, a normal, loved life until they come into Guide Dogs to work, and we believe produce, you know, calmer puppies because of that, because mom and dad aren't stressed. So a big thank you to our breeder custodians for the work that you do. Thank you. So maybe we can see a few pictures of Wyoming and Kibble's kids. That's what they look like today. They're well on their journey to becoming guide dogs.
We have Starlight and Spumoni and Skipper and Seth and Samosa and Sushi. Pretty good.
And I do know that we're, you know, looking for more breeder custodians, so we'll do a little bit of an ad here. Lauren, maybe you can talk a little bit about what it takes to be a breeder custodian.
Sure. As new breeding dogs get added to our breeding program, because you know, our breeding males and females might be retiring, we need to add new breeding males and females to our program every month. And so we do have open applications to become a breeder custodian. There are some restrictions that we put on our breeder custodians, and the biggest one being that you have to live within a 50-mile radius of our campus here in San Rafael. We also have some fence requirements that we work with applicants on, so you have to have a fully fenced-in space, and then move through our application process. As you said so beautifully, these are loving homes, and you also have to have a desire to partner with us and collaborate with us on the career of our breeding dogs. You know, as you mentioned, they are going to come and go. GDB owns our breeding dogs, but again, it's in collaboration with our amazing breeder custodians who love and take care of those dogs in their homes. So if you're interested, you should check out our website.
There you go.
That's the perfect place to look to see if you might qualify, or to ask us some additional questions, and we can usher you through the application process and see if it's the right volunteer opportunity for you. So that's my little ad.
Thank you, thank you, thank you. So just in summary, hopefully this has been interesting, educational, inspirational to you. You know, everything that we do here for our broods and their pups is intentional. It's intentional with regards to supporting them both physically and psychologically, and to, you know, prepare our pups for the journey ahead of them, and hopefully to be successful in that journey. We couldn't do it without our wonderful breeder custodians. We couldn't do it without our, you know, puppy center volunteers, and we couldn't do it without our donors. So thank you all for making that possible, because the successes that you saw today are because of you, really and truly. So at this point, Mr. Larry, I think we're going to open things up for questions, and we've gone a little long, so hopefully people are willing to stay a little bit longer for questions.
Yeah, Chris, and to that point, those who are on the live stream, please, we're going to continue to run the live stream through the Q&A. So questions here? Okay, I'll go to the closest first, excuse me.
My question was for, in terms of like average generation for a litter, what proportion, like in terms of like puppies that go on to become a guide dog and puppies that go on to become another breeder, and then puppies that become a career change, what's like the typical percentage breakdown? Like, do half of them become guide dogs, then a quarter of them become breeders, and then like a quarter become career changes? Like, what's the typical like demographic proportions of that?
Yeah, so so we look at success as being, you know, a dog that becomes a guide dog, a breeder, or a canine buddy. All of those are program dogs, and that success rate right now is about 45% of the dogs that are bred go on to fill one of those roles. However, we have another category of dogs that we call community placement dogs. So one of the things to recognize is that becoming a guide dog is one of the most challenging jobs that a dog can do. So it takes, like, I wouldn't qualify to be a guide dog. I can't do everything right 100% of the time. So just because a dog doesn't make it through our program as a guide dog doesn't mean that they're not incredible dogs that can serve in other ways. So we have a program called, you know, our community placement program, where we work with about 15 other service dog organizations that are pre-qualified by guide dogs. And those, you know, dogs are donated to those organizations to go on to other types of illustrious careers, such as, you know, diabetic alert dogs, seizure alert dogs, hearing dogs, autism support dogs, wheelchair assist dogs, all PTSD dogs. Our dogs have amazing careers, really all over the country. So at the end of the day, there are really only a handful of dogs that end up being placed as pets. because our dogs have been bred for service. And the vast majority of our dogs all go into some sort of service, either a guide dogs for the blind or serving the community in other ways. Yeah, great question. Thank you.
Thanks, Chris. We have a question up front here.
Hi, I was just wondering if you can tell us the process of a breeder dog becoming a breeder dog.
Yeah.
Like how long that takes and what the testing and everything is.
Yeah. So I like to say that majority of our dogs are actually evaluated to become a breeding dog from the very beginning. So all of those puppies in the S litter right now, majority of them are being already evaluated. In this particular case, Kimmel's a young stud, so we actually don't need a son out of him just yet. So we're going to go ahead and plan probably for those 2 males puppies to get neutered while they're still in puppy raising and come back to us to go straight into the guide dog track. So hopefully they can try their hand at becoming a guide dog. The females, on the other hand, we do need more females in our breeding program because the reality is that a male, when intact, is pretty much fertile 100% of the time, and our females is a more limiting factor, so we do need more females in our breeding program. So we keep more of our females intact while in puppy raising to potentially see how they grow up and see if they might meet the standard to become a breeding dog. So Miss Horizon, for example, who is your breeder, she was held intact, and then when she recalled to campus, and I should say her puppy raising field manager worked with her puppy raiser and confirmed with the breeding department, with myself and the rest of my team, that she continued to look like a good candidate for breeding. And so when she came in to recall from her puppy raiser into campus, then we went through an evaluation process. And that's usually about a 2-month-long process. By that point, we are pretty certain about the temperament of the dog because we've seen them for the last 12 to 14 months out in the world. And now we want to, now that she is physically mature, we want to go through the health clearances necessary. So we're going to take a look at basically every joint in her body and make sure that it is up to our standard. We are going to do an echocardiogram of her heart. We're going to do DNA testing to find out if she carries for any genetic disorders. We're also going to do our own, temperamental or behavioral assessment on campus, and we're going to kind of wrap that all together and then make a decision if she's the right candidate for the program. We obviously also are comparing dogs within the litter. So back to the original, the first question, we definitely will not be taking all of the females in the S litter for the breeding program. We're going to try to choose the dog that we believe has the best genetic merit to pass on the wonderful genetics that mom and dad have contributed so that we can then bring in that next generation. And then once that process is done, she's probably about anywhere from 16 to 18 months, and that's when she's ready for a breeder custodian. So now we're going to match her with a breeder custodian who's applied to our breeder custodian program.
We have an online question. Do other schools turn to GDB for information to approve their programs?
I'll let you take that, Miss Lauren. Yeah,
Yeah,
We do a lot
absolutely.
of collaboration.
Yeah, it's one of the great joys of working at Guide Dogs is that we have colleagues amongst our, immediate GDB family, but we also have this greater community within the assistance dog industry. And on a pretty regular cadence, we get reached out to either collaborate on a breeding exchange or even collaboration of ideas, training methods. We've hosted apprentices from other guide dog programs, here so that they can learn alongside our apprentice program. I think it's one of the great responsibilities of being a school of our size and stature is to share what we know with that greater, the greater assistance dog industry, because oftentimes the missions of other guide and service dog programs align with the mission of GDB, and so it's a way that we can serve even more individuals, in our community than just immediately here at GDB. We really do believe that we are better when we work together, and our collaborations are one of our great joys. In fact, as whoever asked that, online, thank you, because I actually need to talk to you, Kathleen, because someone reached out to me about hey, we have a question about how you're doing your whelps. And so I'm going to pass that one over to Kathleen and her team, right, because she knows best. So we're always being asked, to collaborate, and we're happy to do so.
Great, thank you.
Oh, hi. I guess I'm going to stand up only because I wanted to give a shout out to what we're seeing here today.
Thank you.
And your whole program. June, our breeder dog, is 2 weeks into on her second litter. We also are buddies. I mean, this is Wyoming's June's buddy. You become one of the things that I think all of you hopefully are striving for is finding other guide dogs that your dog can buddy up with. And then here's Wyoming as a star. But my question is this, in the video, there's obviously predominantly female women taking care of the dogs and volunteers. How do you, to the extent it's necessary, are you in need of male volunteers so they get used to men and boys and all that? Is that something that you have to think about, or it works with what you can, your volunteers?
That's a really good point. I think we do have male volunteers coming. I think they're mostly working with the puppies after they've been weaned from mom. And it is important to be exposed to males, facial hair, different voice tones, and we have males on staff that work with, all the dogs, moms and puppies alike. But we're open to, we don't screen for, only females for this position. We're open to anyone who wants to apply.
Yeah, I would say some of our most tenured canine welfare neonatal team members are male identifying, and I'm always humbled by that. And I've worked at other assistance vet schools, and you don't necessarily always see that. But I mean, I'm thinking Mark and Glenn, these are people who've been around with GDB for a long time, and they are ride or die canine welfare neonatal technicians and team members.
Mark, you saw in the video, he just celebrated 35 years here with guide dogs. So he's seen probably, 40,000 puppies.
Kathleen, I think this online question is probably for you. If a mom has a large litter at the same time when a mom has a small litter, are the pups of the large litter, some of them given to the mom with the small litter?
Sometimes we do foster puppies onto another mom to both sort of relieve the mom with the many puppies if her milk resources aren't enough sort of to feed everybody, but also to give companionship to the puppies in the smaller litter. Every time I've never had a mom reject foster puppies. I think, once they've, I think once you hit like the number 4, it's like, what's 6, what's 8, But yes, we do try and even out when it calls for it, for sure.
We have an in-person question.
I wanted to ask, I've been a breeder keeper since 1990. I have a retired male stud right now, Kent, and I wanted to know, some of your people reached out, you had a thing to breeders to consider it, and I'm doing that. And I'm curious because it was always so important to me to get to be with the puppies before they leave. And can you still do that with all the quarantine kinds of things that you have? So, That's my question.
Yeah, I appreciate it, and thank you for considering rejoining us, and considering another breeder. I see Kent in pedigrees all the time. So
Yeah,
that's fun.
he's a good-looking
to make that
dog.
connection. Yeah, but he's so much more than that, right? So the answer is yes, we do strive to make sure that our breeder custodians of both mom and dad are able to see as many puppies as possible before the puppies leave for their puppy raiser. It's not always 100% of the time possible just because of the logistics of puppies moving. Sometimes puppies might need to be held back in puppy center because maybe there's a litter ahead of them, so there may not be space and we should have mentioned this maybe a little bit more loudly, but the puppy center actually is almost 2 buildings in one, so it's all one roof, but there are 2 sides to it, and they are separate from each other, except for a single door. In the video, you might have seen as Mads passes a puppy over to the other side of the puppy center, so that's where they are whelped, and those first 6 weeks, that's our whelping neonatal side of the center, and then the other side, as Chris mentioned, is our Young Heroes Academy, and that's what we would refer to in-house as our puppy pod, and at that point, the puppies are able to be seen by the volunteer breeder custodian families. Again, we strive to do it. Sometimes logistics get in, throw a wrench in the plan, but it is still one of our main goals because we know that it's really important for our families to be able to see their, the contribution of their breeder. So yeah, absolutely, it is still something that we try to do. But it is a process of making sure to, our volunteers know how to dress in, scrub into that space so that we aren't introducing germs from the outside world. In addition, we also provide resources to our breeder custodians during the weeks before that puppy visit that we offer to our volunteers. So we do videos, and we actually have a newer series that's going to start coming out that is a kind of we're calling it Nursery Tales, and it basically it kind of goes in order developmentally of what mom and puppy might be up to in the puppy center during those first 6 weeks. So we're really excited that we're trying to bring you in and offer resources out.
And I just wanted to put a shout out too. Multiple times I had a retired breeder, either a male or a female, and having 2 dogs. I mean, you're out there walking, you're doing the feeding. It was kind of nice to see the bond between the 2 dogs. It helped when one of your dogs was going to pass and die. So I had one in sort of spare. And I've had 2 females at a time. I've had male and females together. So I encourage all of you who are breeder keepers to consider another one. It kind of helps, at least in my experience.
Thank you. Kathleen, how do moms react when separated from their pups for the first time?
It varies. We have had moms who would prefer to be weaned sooner, who are ready for puppies to be on their way and for her to get back to her life. And the beauty of sort of the 2-room suite is moms can self-wean if they need more time away from their puppies, if they want to spend more time with their puppies. And we have moms that are, if they could, they'd go home with their puppies. So it varies, but they adapt quickly, and we keep them physically and psychologically engaged and stimulated when they're removed from their puppies and are boarding in the boarding kennel. We keep them active.
Great, thanks. I'll come up to the front in just a second. 2-part, I'll do the first part to you, Lauren, and then go to the front row, and then the second part after. First question, first part, how many times is a dog at Guide Dogs for the Blind bred?
Yeah. I mentioned that there's a discrepancy between males and females. Our males, we shoot for an initial 8 to 10 litters usually. We oftentimes, produce more Labrador litters. So our Labrador, I'm using a statistic based off on our Labradors, which we produce about 80% of our population is Labradors, so it is really the majority. So our males, again, initially have about 8 to 10 litters, where our females, on average, have 3 litters. Some of them might have more, some of them might have less. And at the very most, our females will have is a 5th litter. It's very uncommon for us to have a female that actually warrants a 5th litter and is still young enough that we feel comfortable breeding her. So our females will retire not exceeding the age of 7. Most of them retire closer to 5. It really depends on that female, and we're thinking about her welfare. How did she do when she had her last litter? How was the quality of her labor? What's her age, and what's her success rate? We want to make sure that we're making the right decision for both the female and for GDB. And oftentimes we've already selected a daughter out of her who, hopefully carries her wonderful genetics, and then some, because she has dad on board as well.
Thank you. Who had the question up front?
Hi. I'm wondering how you choose which female and males to breed, how you look at that.
Yeah. That could be its own, that could
Yes,
be a whole
it could.
presentation in of
It
itself.
could. It
What
could.
I will say is that we obviously have a very extensive database that we utilize that carries the data of all of our dogs. We're able to compile that and choose the best combination of dogs for one another. Obviously, there are when a female comes into season, I'm looking at our list of stud dogs. We have anywhere from 40 to 45 studs at any given time. I can go down that list automatically and take off dogs automatically because they're they're brother and sister, or that's her dad, and basically it's kind of like you check them kind of off, and then you're left with a short list, and then that's where kind of I think the art adds to the science, right? We're looking at combinations of using our statistical modeling that we use through our estimated breeding values. Again, another presentation. So that's kind of where the art and science meets, is when we're choosing which moms go with which dads. Oftentimes, too, we're looking to the past, what worked, what combination of genes worked in the past, and then also being aware of creating genetic diversity over time. So when I think about breeding one of our litters, I actually think, yes, 2 years from now, what's the dog going to be like? But I also think 10 years, 20 years down the line, what's the effect of those genes going to look like in our gene pool?
Thank you. I have a question here.
When studs are retired, do they stay intact?
Yeah, no is the answer. I guess I should say generally no. If there's a medical reason for some reason that a stud needs to stay intact, it's happened before where a male, it wouldn't be healthy for a male to go under anesthesia, very rare, but so I guess it's possible. But generally speaking, and if that's the case, the GDB would continue to own the dog. Pretty much 99.9% of those times, if the dog is going to be retired, both male or female, we're going to spay and neuter them. We don't believe in keeping a dog intact longer than they need to be, and so it is also in line with our ethics behind our breeding program that we will, at retirement, spay and neuter our dogs. Yeah.
So Lauren, here's the second part of that online question. When a breeder goes into season but is skipped and not utilized at Guide Dogs to the Blind, what's the reason behind that?
So I'm guessing that the question is coming from a breeder custodian, just based off of the verbiage. So when a female does come into season, we'll choose to breed her that cycle or skip her that cycle. There are a number of different reasons why we might skip a dog, and there's a number of reasons why we might breed a dog. Number one, our question is this female healthy, and can she sustain a pregnancy, and will it be in line with our welfare standards to breed that female? Obviously, if the answer is no, maybe she has an ear infection and she needs to be treated, or she actually hasn't fully recovered from her previous litter, then we're gonna skip her and let her have a fallow season, and then potentially consider her to breed her the next time she comes into season. So that might be one of the reasons. Another reason might be maybe we've already bred enough litters for this month. Again, we can calculate when she's going to be due, And I think Kathleen would be rioting outside of my office if all of a sudden all of our girls were due at the end of July, right? So we do need to plan this accordingly. And it's not just Kathleen, right? We have to think about the entire trajectory of that litter. Those litters go on to obviously to multiply into six to seven puppies. You know, do we have the puppy raising capacity to accept those dogs into our puppy raising program? So those are all the reasons that might kind of come up why we might choose to skip a female. But we also will breed a female back to back. Again, we don't believe in keeping a dog intact if they don't need to be, and so we do want to breed our females, breed our males if they're going to be a good contributing member of our program, and then retire them when that's no longer the case.
Thanks, Lauren.
May I ask, how is it decided whether the dog is going to be a breeder or a guide?
Yeah. So it kind of goes back to our breeding standards. So we're trying to choose the dogs that have the highest potential of passing on their positive genetic merit onto that next generation, and we're also trying to improve over time. So, you know, we produce some tremendous dogs here, but maybe we already have a brother from that litter, and so we don't need another brother, and so he can go become a guide dog. So it really is comparing litter mates, and then also knowing what again, the genetic merit, and that's not a made-up number or idea. We actually use statistics to identify the individuals in our population that have the greatest chance of passing on those positive traits to their offspring, because that's really what matters, at least from the breeding perspective. Again, starting with good genetics and then bringing out the best in them in the puppy center.
Thanks, Lauren. We have a question here. Excuse me. Could you pass the mic down?
Thank you. This has been amazing. Could you touch on the process, timeline, and cost for host families as they may go from breeder, host to owner, and what that may look like? So if I'm a family that's interested in having a breeder, what is the timeline to get involved, from showing first interest to actually being able to bring a dog home?
Sure.
Through the breeding process?
It depends. If everyone in this room applies today to become a breeder custodian, it's going to take us a little longer to work through that process. So I hate saying it depends, but it really does depend on what our applicant pool looks like. Right now we are looking for applicants, so the wait time might be shorter, but it also depends on what type of dog you're hoping to add to your family from our breeding program. If you would like a pure golden retriever male, you might be waiting longer because we produce fewer Goldens. If you're looking for, if you're open to any of our, three breeds, any color, any gender, then there's more opportunity for you to have a dog sooner. Usually the application process takes about a month to 2 months. It involves an interview, a home visit, a dog management class. We want to really make sure that this is the right volunteer role for you, because it's a long-term volunteer role. We're going to be in partnership. We're going to know each other for a long time, hopefully, and so we want to make sure that that's right for you. And then all veterinary care is covered here at Guide Dogs for the career of our breeding dogs. We do ask our volunteer breeder custodians to cover food for their breeder during their career, with the exception of when our females are gestating, in which case, because she's going to start eating more, we provide that food, and we require a specialty food is fed. And then we obviously also provide all of the preventatives and whatnot. So financially speaking, during the career of the breeding dog, we shoulder majority of that. And then when our breeders are retired, majority of our breeder custodians choose to adopt that dog into their home, and then they, live out their life in that home. And usually we get to stay in touch and hear about, our wonderful breeders, Kent, how they transition into retirement, into their golden years, which is always lovely.
Here we go. Another question.
I've heard for years that, and the numbers justify it, that the labs are the most successful versus the Goldens and the Shepherds we used to raise. But are the crosses the very best, the very most successful?
I'm curious, how many in this room, how many of you are middle children? 2, 3, wait, there are very few middle children. 4, 5, 6, 7. Okay, I was good. Then I can say what I'm about to say. What you have said is not incorrect. Our Labradors tend to be our most successful of the 3 breeds that we breed. I do want to point out that, and where our Goldens, are kind of on the lower end of that statistic. One of the things I'm really proud of, and obviously I'm biased because of the breeding manager, I'm also biased because I live with 2 Goldens, right? Yeah. Mm-hmm. I'm really proud of the fact that GDB has a golden breeding program. We're one of the last remaining programs that still invests in our Goldens. The reason why that matters to me is because I know that our clients who use our Goldens really love that type of dog. And we believe that our clients should have choice when choosing who their guide dog is. That's going to be their partner for 7, 8, 9+ years. And we know that, that is a community that doesn't always get choice, right? And so I'm really proud of the fact that we give that level of autonomy to our clients to choose the breed, the color, the sex of their dog if they want to be able to do that. So our Goldens have their place, but it is true that it takes more resources for us to produce those Goldens, but those Goldens that make it are really meaningful for our clients. For the middle children in the room, I always like to say that the Lab Golden Cross, and sometimes we do multi-generational Lab Golden Crosses. So many of our Lab Golden Crosses look like Goldens, but they actually have a little bit of Lab in there. And some of our Labs Lab Golden Crosses look like Labs, but they actually have a little bit of Golden in there, or a little bit of Lab. Our Lab Golden Crosses basically look like the middle child in almost every statistic. They ride that line, sweet spot between the 2 breeds, because they're oftentimes a really nice mix of the 2. And so when we use our Lab Golden Crosses, we're able to oftentimes serve more of our clients who want the golden type. They want that look, they want the feel of that dog, that personality, but they may have a little bit of Labrador in them that makes them a little bit more successful. So it's a really meaningful and purposeful process when we cross our Labs and our Goldens, but you do need to have pure of both to be able to do that. Yeah.
We'll have a lot of time for Q&A. I just want to give us an opportunity to grab some lunch. So, Chris, I'm going to turn this back over to you to just wrap this particular portion of the program up.
Great. All right. Thank you all so much for being here. We will be sticking around, after we officially end, so to answer any questions that you have. Hopefully this was interesting and inspirational. If you're interested in supporting this program, there's a variety of ways that you can do that. You, of course, can donate, which we would very much appreciate. You can text conversations to 50155 if you're live streaming, or you could do that if you're in the room, but you can also use the QR code that is located on the screen. It's also located on the back of your program. You can become a breeder custodian, or you can become a puppy raiser. So we also need puppy raisers for those wonderful puppies that graduate from our puppy center. So I'm hoping that you'll all be back here in 2 years so that we can celebrate the graduation of Wyoming and Kimmel's litter, okay? All right, for those of you on our live stream, thank you so much for joining us. And for those of you in the room, we have a light lunch.